Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Institute for Historical Studies monthly program. This is Saturday, October 18th, and we'll be listening to a presentation by Tammy Farmer, who will be introducing some other people that have helped her. Tammy is going for a degree at Cal Poly Humboldt and is going to present on listening with intention about oral history interviews. And so without further ado, Tammy, welcome to the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
There we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy Farmer. I am a senior at Cal Poly Humboldt, earning a degree in leadership studies. This is a project-based degree, and my project is an oral history and storytelling initiative. Today's presentation is called Listening with Intention from Humboldt to a Statewide Storytelling System. Thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you to the Institute for Historical Study for hosting. I think that this project aligns well with the interdisciplinary studies of what the Institute already values: history that can be shared and preserved. Like many of you, I'm drawn to history as a primary source through storytelling, performance, and community and writing. This initiative grows out of the same spirit, connecting archives with lived experiences, blending traditional preservation with interdisciplinary creativity, community-based methods, and to keep local stories alive and accessible. This is a work in progress presentation, and what I'm really here to do is to pressure test my idea and to get your feedback with your experience. So any feedback that you can give me would be greatly appreciated. So before I dive into my project, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Humboldt County for 3 years. For a decade, I was a 911 operator, a volunteer firefighter, an EMT, and community advocate. Those years trained me to listen with intention, to ask clear questions, and to take that information and coordinate response. After years of being on call, I began to wonder, could I take those same listening skills and serve my community in a different way outside of emergency services? And that question right there brought me to the Leadership Studies program at Cal Poly Humboldt, where I explored this idea. So if you look across California at a statewide level, there is no one unified oral history platform that campuses use across oral history collections. California's reach is enormous. We have 115 community colleges, 23 state universities, and 10 UCs, including UCSF. Within the UCSF system, we have a strong building block in CalSphere for public display, the California Digital Library for the infrastructure, and 𝘓𝘃𝘃 as the repository. What's missing here is a uniform, shareable workflow that goes from interview to transcript to short captioned clips and then to the archives, with the who, when, and where metadata built in, and a QR link that goes back to or links back to the full interview. So what are the advantages of a statewide shared workflow? First, we look at the education. Oral history makes learning lived. It teaches critical thinking and listening. So community, it preserves diverse voices, strengthens identity, and it bridges generations. Citation and access, every excerpt becomes a short captioned clip with a stable link back to the full transcript. And then under preservation, consistent packaging for cohesiveness. To make all this work, we bundle simple pieces, the video, the caption file, the transcript, and a tiny ID card showing the who, what, when, where. And this shared uniform standard makes stories teachable, searchable, and citable, but at a scale. So after sketching a statewide vision, my leadership studies team wisely reeled me back in. And they said, that's a great vision, Tammy, but now prove it locally. So this is where I began locally with a human-to-human project with one-on-one conversations. So my pilot project in Humboldt is called Empowering Seniors in Humboldt County. It's a small human-centered pilot. It's 5 one-on-one interviews with seniors over 60 in the Eel River Valley. We will document lived experiences, past and current challenges about aging in Humboldt, or really anything that they want to talk about that shapes their daily life. This is just to make sure that the framework that I built will stand up to oral history collection. The method is straightforward: clear consent, simple recordings, transcripts, reviewed by the narrator, then a package to give to the library archives. Our aim is to create both a legacy and usable evidence that informs teaching and local advocacy. The workflow challenge. Okay, the problem that I had is technology, because I'm not familiar with a lot of the new technology. Whenever I was in high school, we got the first computers that came into our high school. So it was a little bit challenging. Cal Poly Humboldt really does have all the amazing resources. They have a studio, they have guides, they have a podcasting room, but it was a little bit overwhelming for me to have to use so many different tools to produce one oral history that could be transcribed. I would have to collect the oral history on a digital recorder or my phone, download it to my computer, upload it to the transcript, download it to be able to do the short promo clips to make a 1-2 minute clip. So what I needed was a simple platform to collect the oral histories, make them transferable into a clip, disseminate, and then export. So I went on a search for solutions. So looking across our nation, I looked at what other universities and what other institutions were using. TheirStory is an oral history platform. It's used by over 120 institutions from UCLA, Brown University, Los Angeles Public Library. The goal was to just create to have one platform for remote access. So I found TheirStory, and as you can see, it went from Brown University, Cornell. It's being used mainly on the East Coast, but it's moving this way over to the West Coast. And we have a few institutions in California that are already using it. Here's a case study from Dr. Fiona Vernal, who I had an opportunity to meet this summer. They implemented a statewide free platform usage of 𝘍𝘬𝘪𝘵, and they collected 90 project partners and 1,200 interviews in a year and a half. Here's another picture of Dr. Fiona Vernal, and here is a printed display that, and you can notice there's QR codes on the bottom of her display to where anybody could walk by, scan it, and then go back to the full story of what she's trying to present. Dr. Vernal has also offered, if my project moves forward, to mentor me in a statewide implementation in California. This summer, I also got to meet 𝘚𝘵𝘮𝘮𝘰𝘮. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but she gave a presentation this summer, Oral History in Action, Building Partnerships and Programs at LAPL. The Los Angeles Public Library struggled for 6 years to launch its oral history program. Once they consolidated the tools, they published 20 oral histories in a month and secured a $1 million Mellon Grant Fund to record Indigenous stories. That right there is what success looks like. Technology and storytelling working together so that every community has a place in history. So I wanted to test 𝘍𝘬𝘪𝘵 outside of my IRB approved pilot project. And I have a very nice packaged IRB pilot empowering seniors in Humboldt County, but I wanted to test 𝘍𝘬𝘪𝘵 outside of that to make sure it is the right platform before I went back to the IRB and applied for approval. So this is called Creative Aging. Creative Aging, I have partnered with Tracy Barnes Priestley, who is here today. Thank you, Tracy, for being here. Tracy has a master's degree in community counseling psychology, and she hosted a show on KEET TV called What's on Your Bucket List, which ran for 3 seasons. She's a writer, and she also hosts an OLI program called Let's Connect. So she is helping me test the 𝘍𝘬𝘪𝘵 platform. She is a great mentor. Tracy, thank you for being here. So I'm going to take you right into our project. So whenever you first open up the screen, this is your main screen. As you can see, I have one creative aging project. You press on that, and it takes you straight to the full 1 hour and 5-minute interview that we did. At that point, you can look at the transcript. Okay, here's how the screen looks. And this is pretty exciting because I can, on the left, you have the video, on the right, you have the transcript, and you can go in here and highlight any words that you want. And I can't see on my screen here. Let's try this.
So is the transcript created automatically?
Yes. Yes, and I have found it to be accurate. It it even catches all the ums
Yeah, which you
that
would
you
want to
say.
edit out, wouldn't you?
Yes, and it's easy to edit the transcript.
It's
Okay.
an
So-
incredible tool, I have to say. Having done television, it's an incredible tool. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy, for that. So I was able to, let's see. I have a few screens open. Let me see if I can go back here.
Tammy, I think what you
Oh.
want to do is click on the far upper left corner of your screen where it says IHS presentation. There.
Okay. All right, so I had in there are clips. I had created 3 clips by highlighting words in the transcript, and then it automatically produced a clip with a new transcript. From there, I was able to download it and then make 3 clips. I did put those 3 clips together, and this is a draft copy. There are some corrections that I would like to make on this, but this will give you an example of what I was able to create.
Is it muted?
There's no volume, Tammy. Is that on my end? And your timing is off.
It's
That
really
could be a
jerky.
function of the internet.
Hmm. Do you have sound, Tammy? We don't.
Oh, you don't have, I have sound.
Yeah, we don't have sound and the timing is off.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. You guys don't have any audio?
No.
Right.
Okay, so these are one of those challenges with technology. I'm going to move forward. As you can see, I was able to create clips, put them together, and then create a short promo from that. I noticed last night my little wheel on my internet kept on turning. So I apologize for the low bandwidth. But if you look at the screen, whenever you're first invited in as the presenter, you get 3 options. You can have the little screen in the upper right-hand corner, and that's how it will present in your saved video. Or you can put a side-by-side interview, one person on the left, one person on the right. It shows both faces, and you can bring several people into the interview. I'm not sure how many people total it can take. I've seen it up to 4 people in the room that it's recording all of their recording. So application and impact. All right, so I'm going to continue to test TheirStory, and I'm going to give you a demo from Zack Ellis. Zack Ellis couldn't be here today. He's presenting at the Oral History Association National Conference. We wish him well at the conference, and he has sent a short demo. So the next steps are what can this mean for the faculty, students, and community? The goal is to prove it locally. The application and impact for faculty, students, and community, it can really link all of them together. The local deliverables will be interviews, archived transcripts, and caption the metadata that travels with it. Now, if you're not familiar with what metadata is, it's the old word for keywords or hashtags, or we could go back as far as file folder labels. But metadata is a searchable link or a searchable word that can travel with the oral history. So whenever you go to your library, there's a line there, and you can type in creative aging or any other subject that you want, and it'll take you to the many interviews that you have that same metadata. Okay. And TheirStory is based out of Rochester, New York, but I believe Zack is from the Bay Area originally.
Huh.
All right, moving on. What does my leadership studies project look like after 21 months? The Empowering Seniors in Humboldt County is an IRB approved pilot project that is approved through spring of next year. So it's kind of been for me on the back burner. Then how this whole project started was a project called the Oral History Van, similar to the Bookmobile and the Bloodmobile. Whenever I started in the Leadership Studies program, my advisor asked me, she said, well, what do you want to do for your project? And I told them, I said, well, in my older years, I would like to drive around in a van and go from pancake breakfast to pancake breakfast and collect stories and streamline them to the university. And they were like, great, okay, make that a project. But what I found was that there was no system to feed these oral histories into. And so it really needed to be creative. And then once I figured out that there's no system to feed it into, I researched a little more, and I looked at California as a whole. You know, what was the whole state using? And there is just not one consistent shareable statewide model. So then that moves me into another phase, and that's phase 3. And then phase 4, Tracy and I are testing the TheirStory platform with creative aging. So my next steps to continue to test the platform. In November, I'm facilitating the second meeting between Cal Poly Humboldt and TheirStory. And what our library dean is really looking for is, how can we use this for podcasting? You know, what are my deliverables? So this is exciting for me to facilitate these kinds of meetings to see if it can better our community and our university. So by the end of spring next year, I will have completed my IRB pilot project, and then I will share the results. So my reflection on listening with intention, we are in an era right now where interaction between people is being lost. People spend a lot of time on their phones or talking to AI. And I'd really like to instill the human-to-human connection again. This is my very dear friend, 𝘍𝘳𝘮𝑒. She's 87 years old. Every day at noon, I read her a chapter out of a book. And she has so much life and so many stories in her that it would really be a shame to lose that for just our own knowledge, Humboldt's history, and for her generations to come after her. So can we connect the dots? You know, would a statewide system be to our advantage? And that's really what I'm trying to do here, is to have us look at a statewide system. Now, the University of Connecticut has already has a statewide system implemented with a humanities grant where they paid for a free license for the whole state. Then they partnered with, I believe, 60 or 90 different community centers, universities, institutions, and all that information is compiled together. Now, my thinking is that logically, yes, connecting all these dots would be great. It would give us a repository to draw from, to where we could compare like the San Francisco Bay Area to the rural areas of Humboldt for study. What I see on the back end of this is putting in oral histories into the archives, but with that metadata tagging, the researchers on the back end can type in caregiving issues or name any institution that'll have metadata tagging. Like if you were to do one for your church, you could put the name of your church in the metadata. Then years later, after 5 years, you could type in that church's name. Then all those oral histories will be presented, which are in our archive. So besides technology and me struggling today with technology, I can send the links later. That is what I have today for my presentation. So if you guys have any feedback or any ideas about what I should be doing here, they would be greatly appreciated. I have put on the screen the contact information for TheirStory. If you are interested, that's how you can get a hold of Zack.
Hi, this is TheirStory, the end-to-end oral history platform. Over 80 institutions use our software to record,
yes, but now the
process.
The image is all fuzzy on mine.
There are 3 ways to get content into the system. One is
That
to
could
have
just be mine.
a live call. We use daily.co for that. You can also collect stories asynchronously by creating prompts that people can respond to on their own time. You can also upload existing audio and video to our system through your local device or our cloud integrations. All content uploaded to our system is automatically transcribed and indexed, which makes it searchable. So if I search for the term immigrant here, then I can get back all the recordings in my project where that search term can be found, whether it's in the title, the description, or down to the keywords and transcript and index itself. So we can see that that search term is pulled through, both at the level of the index. So someone could talk about segregation for 10 minutes, but never mention that word. So how do we pull out those cross-cutting themes, as well as down to the level of the transcript. So if I click on any word, it'll skip to that moment in the media, and then I can play it at that location. And if I want to use any part of this recording and extract it out, say to share on social media, I just highlight the transcript, hit create clip. I can give it a title, add in a keyword or several, and that will automatically generate a individual audio and video file that I can now use however I want. All of my clips are found in the clips library. And so there's that clip that I just created, and I can always go back to its source as well. Now, one of the main things that our customers also really struggle with is transcription. This is something that is really time consuming and costly. And so, and also transcripts are required for captions for legal purposes. And so you can edit transcripts and captions in our system. We'll automatically realign the timings. And then you can export any data you create in TheirStory in interoperable formats. So text, Word document, closed captions, and also all of our data is accessible via our API. We are in the midst of finalizing our transcript-based video editing capability, which we've been developing over the last 7 months or so. So I can highlight a piece of the transcript, drag it over to the right. It'll pull that part of the recording with it, throw in a little title slide, fade or trim. And I can do this over multiple sections of not just one interview, but entire collections of material, and then disseminate this easily on social platforms or wherever you want to engage your community. Lastly, we will be releasing our public galleries. This helps us shift from being a tool to a platform where I can create any number of galleries, select my clips or interviews that I want to use, make sure I have the right license, and then just update logo, background image, a couple colors to make a nice gradient. And then now I can share this publicly or via QR code, say if it's in a presentation or in a physical space, and have all of that same searchability as you do internally to TheirStory, but now public facing for use by researchers, students, educators, and so on. And this really creates our flywheel. Thank you.
All right, what do you guys see on
Wonderful.
your screen now?
Thank you,
See their
TheirStory.
story with the information.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Do you guys have any feedback, or what do you guys think about a statewide system?
Let me exercise the privilege of the being in charge here and ask first, Tammy, would you unshare your screen?
There we go.
Thank you. And secondly, before I turn it over to answer your question, I just want to make a little pitch, point out that what you're doing is exactly the original purpose of the monthly presentations. When members of the Institute discuss works in progress, ask for feedback, throw out ideas. And so I want to thank you again for reminding us of what the original purpose of this presentation was. And with that, I will let the purpose go forward.
All right, thank you, Dan. So what do you guys think about a statewide system?
It sounds wonderful. Have you been in touch with Cal Humanities? I know they're unfunded at the moment. Or
Not yet,
underfunded, I'm
but
not sure.
I will put them on my list. California Humanities.
Yeah, they would love it. It all sounds exciting to me. The Berkeley Historical Society has, they used to do oral histories that were just audio recorded and then transcribed manually. Is there a way that those would fit in to a system like this where you don't have the video?
You can upload your file into their system and it'll transcribe for you.
Right. Or if you have a good transcript already, you just don't have any pictures. I'm wondering if that would even be useful. But anyway, what we're doing now is we're digitizing, we're copying all those transcripts and putting them up on the internet so people can at least read them. But and then they switched over to just doing video and not transcribing it. So all of those could be put into this system, and then we could just edit the transcripts a little bit. So that sounds great. Look, in terms of feedback for your or do you want everybody else to, or does anyone else want to respond about the potential for all this, for the statewide?
Yeah, it sounds like you're the most involved in the sorts of research that Tammy's been talking about. So go ahead. I mean, I think it sounds like great, although it's not the sort of thing that I'm involved in, so I can't really judge, whether a statewide system is how advantage I can imagine, just how its advantages, but I'm not on the ground there, so.
Well, and the individual keepers of the separate collections might, some might say, yeah, I want to be part of that, and others might say, no, we're fine the way we are. But at least it could be. And I don't know, 𝘓𝘵sphere is a statewide database of things related to what, California history, or I don't even.
From my understanding, 𝘓𝘵sphere is used by the UC system, and that is its front end for public interaction.
Access to photographs and all kinds of things in collections. But anyway, yeah, it'd be nice to have the state university system also involved. I had a few things for polishing your presentation. There were a number of places where there was text that was kind of fuzzy. If you could get a higher resolution, at least I don't know. Did other people see that? Like that last quote wasn't focused properly.
Right.
So sharpen those up somehow.
Okay.
It's pronounced metadata. And I would Google that word because it includes keywords, but it also includes the creator, when it was created, things like that. Like if you think about, the photos that you've taken in your camera, the metadata tells you when it was taken and on what kind of camera and stuff like that. So it was a librarian's term when they first started automating their library collections. So I think just saying keywords for this purpose works better because most
Okay.
people know what those are. I didn't know what IRG was, and I guess if you're speaking outside of the Cal Poly Humboldt audience, you need to explain that.
Okay.
Or IRB, my handwriting's a little messy. Yeah, IRB. Well, I was curious. Oh, I was curious how structured the interviews were. Did you have a set number of questions you were going to ask each person, and did you have a set time frame? In the
Tracy and I, whenever we did our tests, we had 5 questions already determined that we were going to ask. And there is no time limit on the length of time that the oral history presentation, the interview can be. Because I asked him, I said, I said, what if we're sitting there for a couple hours and talking? And they're like, well, that's not really useful. You can do it, but it's not really helpful in getting the information out there. So it didn't seem like there were any constraints as far as time, but I did have pre-written questions to ask Tracy.
Okay. Let me see. That's Oh, I was curious about how you turn this into podcasts, but that was just something you mentioned toward the end that other people are interested in doing. And is 𝘓𝘪𝘴𝘵𝘮, are they going to look into developing a way to turn it into podcasts?
Define what you mean by podcast. Do you mean just audio? Or audio and visual with transcript?
It can be both, but podcasts usually are audio. I mean, they're a very up and coming, now established genre of that you can access through Spotify or Apple.
Jim has been working on in that arena.
Right. And there are various things it's very easy to sort of queue up a whole bunch of them, episodes on your phone and sort of have them play. It's very popular.
I think as a consumer or with my background, it would be an added resource if it could somehow plug into that model eventually. Because you then would be going beyond, you would be going to consumers directly. You would be going to people like me that listen to podcasts when I'm taking my walks. And if universities have the setup for that. So I guess for me, the question is, can you utilize this tool, TheirStory, and roll it into, because it's a pre-recorded audio video, can you roll it into their technology? And that would be, to me, a win-win.
Right. I suppose. Go ahead.
There's a check box that you can mark if you want audio only. It doesn't have to be audio and video. You can just have it record the audio only, and then it'll transcribe that.
I'm sure that there are oral history podcasts of various kinds already out there, and that typically they would be curated. There would be somebody sort of introducing episode. Oh, here we found, a lumberjack, Joe, and next week it's, seamstress Sally,
Or you could do a combination. You could say your theme is the free speech movement, and you could have clips of various people introduced by the narrator. Of course, what they did, they at the 50th anniversary of the free speech movement, they collected hours and hours of people talking about it, and so it's been a challenge just to condense it down to an hour and a half documentary, but something a little more specialized, I guess. you could have multiple voices on the same subject. That would be interesting.
And we can do that with the interview invitation. You can send it to 4 people, put audio only, and then conduct your interviews remotely, and then have it transcribe those podcasts.
So what does it take to get a license? That you said something about statewide, or in Connecticut, they had a statewide license.
Yes, in Connecticut, they have a statewide license paid for by Connecticut Humanities. The structure, and you'll have to talk to Zach. They have individual licenses, and then they have licenses for the institutions, and then they have a license for universities. So as far as the structure of that, please contact Zack Ellis to find out. I'm not sure what a package for a whole state looks like. But I do know that there's a program in University of Connecticut that I can model, but I just haven't quite got to that point yet. So my theory is that if we can implement this in Humboldt, we can implement it across the statewide system. Now, UC Irvine has used 𝘚𝘵𝘀 before, and 𝘚𝘵𝘀 has been reviewed by the UC STAR team, which decides and implements the subscriptions throughout the whole state system. They reviewed 𝘚𝘵𝘀 for a statewide system, and their review was favorable, but the institutions that they were looking at, it was a few years back, and they weren't ready to all jump on board into one single platform yet. So I'm reintroducing it because it was reviewed as positive, and the platform has evolved in the last few years with more bells and whistles. So I thought it would be a good time to review this platform and see if we can't revisit this for a more cohesive oral history collection.
I have a couple questions kind of on the back of the house. So this program, who wrote it? And then these files, when you produce them, where do they reside? I mean, is it on, if I do it for UCLA, is it on their server? Is it on some company who wrote this software, their server? Because if it's on like this, a company, what happens when they go out of business or get sold or something? What happens to all these files, you know, and who carries on, you know, you're looking at things that you want to have around 50 years from now. Are these files available to somebody 50 years down the road? Right.
Your data, what you collect, it travels with you. So at any time that you don't, the subscription ends, all that data goes with you. Where these oral histories are saved are on the platform itself. And then from there, you can download it. So I think what you're asking me is it saved on 𝘚𝘵𝘀? There is a button or an option that you can check to have it saved into permanent.org, I believe is who they use. But you download it right into the university archives after you have reviewed the consent, or have the consent, and then reviewed the transcript for ethical issues. So it travels where you want it. It's either on your computer, on the 𝘚𝘵𝘀 platform, it saves it there, and then you can download it into the archives. So if they go out of business, you get all of your, or if your subscription lapse, you don't lose your oral histories.
Thank you.
You mentioned a word that I've noticed a couple times in your early slides about ethical, and I just was curious. I can kind of imagine what that might mean in this context, but perhaps you can elucidate.
We can't tell other people's stories. So if you're doing an oral history and someone starts telling about their neighbor's life over there, that really, I don't have the neighbor's consent to do that oral, unless they want to sign a consent form. I really can't archive them talking about their neighbor's history. So I would have to take that out of the transcript. And it's as easy as transcript, edit, highlight, delete.
So one of the first steps before you interview somebody is getting them to sign consent that it, for whatever the purposes are that you're going to use the interview for.
And
Right.
that's what's great about TheirStory, is that before the person can log on, and with Tracy's, I unchecked the box because we're just testing the program. But if I were to check the box that says consent required before she can log in, she has to read through the consent and sign it.
I do believe,
And it automatically goes out to her.
I believe that your oral history person can talk about dead neighbors and friends. The consent requirement only applies to the living.
Okay.
But I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my word for it.
Well, that was very interesting. I'm afraid I am going to have to leave in a few minutes.
Me too. Yeah, you're gonna have to scoot.
I'm now the host. I got it.
Thank you. Very interesting for me too. I've been missing these monthly programs because I thought, oh, I don't need to know about that. But I saw this one and thought, I do need to know about that.
And if you have any
Sorry, there weren't
questions,
more people who attended to give you more feedback. But
and Zach is available for any questions that you can have. Just tell him where you heard of him from, and yeah,
let's see, and you can send us the link for, or send us the link for both of those
I will.
videos that didn't work out so well for us.
I'll send them directly to the IHS.
Great. Okay.
So thank you guys for allowing me to present this, and maybe whenever my project gets a little farther along, maybe I can come back next year.
Well, we hope that you
Tell
do.
people about the Institute.
I will.
And
Yeah, I learned.
I want to
something
thank you, Tammy, for the presentation. And you, I have slots open from June on next year. If you want to come back and talk more about it. That's, by the way, an invitation to everybody. In November, we will be hearing from Liz Schott on Dorothy Liebes and the Golden Gate International Exposition. As always, there is no monthly presentation in December, and Ted will be doing January, and the newsletter will have the rest of the list. Thank you again, Tammy, and I'm going to conclude, unless somebody else has anything to say. We will stop recording, which I don't seem to have the facility to do.
And just end the meeting.
Yeah, thank you,
I'd like
Tammy.
to stop
That's
recording
interesting.
first. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting unless anybody else has anything else to say. Thank you once again, Tammy, for an excellent presentation that fit right into the idea of these presentations.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.